U.S. releases new Epstein files as House weighs contempt vote against Clinton's. Philippine VP Sara Duterte faces new impeachment complaints. Shoigu says Russia supports China's position on Taiwan. Trump hopeful of Iran deal after Tehran warns of regional war. Apologies, demission, royal glare fallout from latest Epstein file dump. The U.S. Justice Department has released more than 3 million documents linked to the late financier Jeffrey Epstein, as the U.S. House of Representatives prepares to vote on whether to hold Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress. The document release comes ahead of an expected House vote after the Clintons declined to testify in a bipartisan congressional investigation into Epstein. Republicans on the House Oversight Committee, joined by several Democrats, voted last month to advance contempt resolutions to the full House. Among the newly released materials are email exchanges between Ghislaine Maxwell and staff members connected to Bill Clinton between 2001 and 2004. Maxwell is currently serving a prison sentence after being convicted of sex trafficking. According to a CNN analysis, Bill Clinton traveled aboard Epstein's private plane at least 16 times during that period. Clinton has previously acknowledged the flights but denied any wrongdoing or knowledge of Epstein's criminal activities. Lawmakers say the latest release adds pressure on figures linked to Epstein, as Congress continues to scrutinize the handling of the case and the extent of Epstein's connections to powerful individuals. Philippine Vice President Sara Duterte is facing a new round of impeachment complaints, filed on Monday by rights groups and civil society organizations accusing her of corruption, abuse of public funds, and betrayal of public trust. Duterte, the daughter of former President Rodrigo Duterte, survived a similar impeachment attempt last year after the Supreme Court dismissed it on constitutional grounds. She is widely viewed as a leading contender in the 2028 presidential election. Her lawyer, Michael Poa, said the latest complaints were expected and that Duterte would respond through constitutional processes. The complaints come amid a deep political rift between Duterte and President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., her former ally. Marcos, who is barred from seeking re-election due to term limits, is expected to support a successor in an effort to block Duterte's rise. Two separate impeachment petitions were filed, alleging misuse of public funds, bribery linked to government contracts, threats against the president and other senior officials, and refusal to cooperate with congressional investigations. Duterte has previously denied all allegations. Russia has reaffirmed its support for China's position on Taiwan, highlighting the close strategic ties between the two countries. Russian Security Council Secretary Sergei Shoigu told Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi that Moscow continues to back Beijing on the Taiwan issue, according to Russia's state news agency TASS. Shoigu said Russia opposes Taiwan's independence in any form and considers the island an inseparable part of China. He added that Russia recognizes the government of China as the sole legitimate authority representing all of China. China regards democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory and has not ruled out the use of force to bring it under its control. Beijing has proposed a one country, two systems framework similar to Hong Kong, but this approach has little support in Taiwan. China and Russia have strengthened their partnership in recent years, declaring a no-limit strategic relationship shortly before Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Sunday he remained hopeful of reaching a deal with Iran, despite sharp warnings from Iran's leadership that any U.S. attack would spark a regional war. Tensions have risen after Iran's security forces carried out a deadly crackdown on nationwide anti-government protests last month. In response, Trump has threatened military action and ordered an aircraft carrier strike group to the Middle East. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, described the protests as a foreign-backed coup and warned that a U.S. military strike would lead to a wider conflict across the region. He told Iranians not to be intimidated by U.S. threats. Asked about Khamenei's remarks, Trump said he still hoped diplomacy would prevail. "Hopefully we'll make a deal," he told reporters, adding that failure to do so would have consequences. The protests in Iran initially erupted over rising living costs before evolving into the most serious challenge to the government in decades. Iranian authorities have accused the United States and Israel of fueling the unrest. U.S. authorities on Friday released a new batch of investigative files linked to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, naming numerous high-profile figures and triggering political and public fallout in several countries. The documents include references to Donald Trump, Bill Gates, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and British billionaire Richard Branson. Officials stressed that being named in the files does not imply wrongdoing. Several consequences have already emerged. Norway's Crown Princess Mette-Marie apologized for what she described as an embarrassing friendship with Epstein after her name appeared frequently in the documents. Norwegian media published correspondence between the two from 2011 to 2014. The royal palace said she ended contact in 2014 after believing Epstein was attempting to exploit the relationship. The disclosure comes as her son, Marius Borg Høiby, faces an unrelated criminal trial in Oslo.